Hi, I am already a little tired from trying to find a great spot to shoot this video. I'm at my friend's place in Bangalore. I've been here for a week. He has such a lovely home. Like every time I come and visit him, I want to shoot videos all the time. Like I'm so inspired to shoot videos. And it's been literally, I think, a couple of days now and I haven't shot, which is embarrassing, I know. But here I am. I have tried to set up this camera on my tripod. I've pulled down the curtains because the lighting is really harsh right now. I have also put on this fuzzy on my microphone, which because I realized that all the videos that I've shot using this microphone on my YouTube, the voice is really sharp and sometimes muffled even. So I'm hoping this really helps. And if not, then I don't know where we go from here. So I also, by the way, have my Coca-Cola and I just came back from meeting a friend of mine. We went to get breakfast and then we just walked around for some time and sat in a park and caught up. A friend of mine who always puts so much life back into me that I'm always leaving every hangout with her feeling like, wow, what a privilege. What a privilege it is to have friends who can make you feel that way every single time. Like, there's always some novelty to hanging out with them, and it's just bizarre. Like, this is a friend of mine who has opened up a whole new space in my life that I never thought existed. And we don't even stay in touch as much. Like, the only time we like hang out is when we meet because we're both like not texting people. And somehow, every time we meet, it just always feels like feeling a new layer to her and also to me. And very lovely morning. I'm super energized. That's also why I decided to not take a nap and get to shooting this video already. So, with this energy and with this coke coursing through my veins, let's get into it. In today's video, I want to talk about things I don't enjoy anymore. Why this video? Why not? I was recently catching a flight from Delhi to Bangalore, and I just thought about things like the list that I've put down over here, which I'm going to go over, and I was like, I should make a video on it. Because now that I'm like touching my 30s, and by the way, this is going to be a recurrent theme in the next few months about like me getting into my 30s because it is a milestone for me. If there's anything in my life that I'm treating as a legitimate milestone, it is me turning 30 because everything else that society has sort of made to be a milestone has never felt like a milestone to me. I've never felt an achievement as an achievement, but me turning 30 feels so right to me. I feel so empowered. I feel so ready to turn 30. Like, I feel so excited. I've never been this excited about turning any other age. I feel so honest to myself. And therefore, I was like, I want to document things that I might have enjoyed in the past when I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, even as recent as the last 2, 3 years, and things that I don't enjoy anymore. Things that I've put up with in the past, and now it's a complete no go. Those are the things we're talking about today. Let's get into it. I also tend to get breathless when I'm speaking into the camera, and I'm trying to modulate that a little bit because I'm just unnecessarily getting tired. But these are things that I've not scripted. Like a lot of the videos that I've been doing recently are just bullet points that I then talk about, like free flowing. So I think I get a little worked up when I am speaking of these things, and I'm trying not to. So also, I think this YouTube setup is a little intimidating because I can't look at my screen right now. I can only see the camera, and then I have this whole thing connected to it, which is connected to my microphone. So I just feel like I'm always on the clock with things being recorded, and that's a little uncomfortable. Let's get into it. Yet again. First thing that I want to talk about that I just do not enjoy anymore. I'm so certain it's a product of getting older, like just aging, is texting. I cannot for the life of me text. I think the only people I can make an exception for is my family because I want to be in touch with them very organically, very naturally, and not be limited by getting on a phone call. I'm very, very happy to just send them updates, hear from them through the day, like my mom, dad, my sister. I don't feel any resistance when I'm talking to them because also we're not like having long, winded conversations. I cannot have a conversation over text anymore. I just refuse to entertain it. You want to talk? We're living in different cities. Pick up the phone or wait until we meet. But I cannot have conversations. I just refuse to have conversations anymore because there is so much context that gets missed out. Like there's no emotions. Like of course like somebody speaks a certain way and then you like get used to your friends' mannerisms and what they might be meaning, like what is the emotion behind a certain sentence, but it's still a lot of cognitive energy to be like, okay, how's this person feeling? And to decipher all of that over text is so mental. I would much rather get on a call. Not that I always get on a call, like I sometimes still default to just catching up over text, but I've just developed this physical resistance to texting now where I just find myself put the phone away if I have to text. Like I would much rather just wait until I meet my friend the next time before I decide to text with them. And sometimes, like, also a lot of my friends are Gen Zs, so it doesn't help that Gen Zs also are very averse to getting on a phone call. So now it's like literally defaulted to like if I'm hanging out with a friend who's a Gen Z, the only time we hang out is when we're meeting in person, and it's always lovely. But texting is not something that I can do anymore, and I have no regrets about it. I'm so glad that I've finally arrived at this. Like I arrived at this, by the way, very recently. I think last week I was texting somebody, I don't remember who, and I just realized that I just hate texting. It's not even not enjoying anymore. I genuinely get repulsed by texting, by having to explain and to respond to their messages and them responding to my messages. It doesn't feel organic anymore. It feels very broken, and it feels like a lot of context is being removed from that conversation. So I don't enjoy it anymore, and it also gives me incentive to do the uncomfortable things like picking up the call or like flying to meet a friend, prioritizing meeting friends more often. That's something I would actually like to bring more of into my life, which is just more FaceTime with my friends. So I think it's great that I don't enjoy texting anymore. Number two, headphones in public or just earpods, AirPods, whatever you want to call it. I saying this right off a very recent trip that I took, where just before the trip, my husband bought a pair of earphones, headphones, which are, by the way, excellent headphones. I've never experienced sound electronically the way I have on those headphones. So really good headphones, and he decided to just give them to me because he was not going to use them for the next few days. And I went off on my trip, and the entire trip I was just on my headphones. It was very enjoyable. It was very enjoyable to like listen to music, like such high quality music through the trip. But I realized that it also cut me off entirely from truly immersing myself in my trip. I was very cut off from what was around me. I didn't have any incentive to go and talk to people, engage with people, or just to be in the moment. I was just in my head, like in my music. And since I've come back, I've actually tried to not be plugged in because it does cut you off. And I want to be as immersed in my everyday as much as possible. And I think it's also lovely that you can take time out every day or whenever, like whatever your cadence is with music. I think it's very lovely if you can just take the time out to exclusively enjoy music, but to integrate that into every activity that you're doing, like working out, eating a meal, being out and about. I think it takes you away from the moment, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I feel like the thing I don't enjoy anymore is being plugged in when I'm out and about. I will give a shout out to me listening to music in New York. I wasn't doing it all the time, just when I was on my, usually when I would be on my way home in the evenings from the subway back home, I would only then like plug in and like listen to some music. And I was listening to a lot of See Them Moth, by the way, like the new album DL 91. And it really made my trip. Like I really enjoyed listening to that music on my way home in New York because I think it just made me feel very cool and it made me feel very hip. And that bit was very enjoyable, but very contextual to that experience of me being in a city for the first time and New York City, which is it's been on my bucket list since I was a child. But I don't think I would want to do much of that even going forward. Number three, ill-fitted bras. Oh my god, like I feel like we're all wearing ill-fitted bras because we're buying standard bra sizes from the market, and so it's unavoidable that there's only so much experimentation that you can do, especially in the Indian market where it's just different brands pulling off the same thing. There is not innovation towards comfort, towards functionality as such. Even when you talk about athleisure, I just feel like the material that they use typically is just not conducive for your skin to be breathable. Yeah, I feel like we're stuck in a market which is not really catering to comfort, to like natural ergonomics of having a chest as a woman. Therefore, I feel like ill-fitted bras just don't work for me. Like I have completely foregone wearing wired bras, wearing bras. Like if I can replace it with like a bralette or just something more comfortable. I did show you these bras that I bought recently in my New York shopping haul video that have replaced all the time that I have like wearing a bra because they're so comfortable. It's like having a short top on, but it gives you like adequate padding. And I feel like there's innovation going on in the West, and this place is not catching up. So I feel like ill-fitted bras I cannot enjoy anymore. I would much rather change my outfit than picking up an ill-fitted bra. I think I don't even have one anymore in my wardrobe. But even the regular bras that you have to wear are just like, I know that they don't fit me well, but they're at least not uncomfortable. Like they're not like poking me in my ribs or anything, so it's still okay. But I don't think I can put on a tight bra on myself anymore. I feel like that's the kind of discomfort I just do not want to go through anymore. So ill-fitted bras are a no-go for me, and I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing the same as you age, and also like with your menstrual cycle changing and your body changing. I feel like there's some things that you just want to discard entirely. Like even lingerie, for example, like there was a time when I entertained the idea of owning lingerie, like cute looking lingerie, and I realized like the cutest looking lingerie are the most uncomfortable pieces in your wardrobe, and it's just no functionality, man. Like it's just the material sucks, the coverage of it sucks. So like why you, and also lingerie is the most expensive undergarments out there. What are you paying your 4,000, 5,000 rupees for if it doesn't even feel good on your skin? You might look nice, but it doesn't even feel good on you. So it just negates any aesthetics of it, right? So I just feel like lingerie is such a terrible market, at least the stuff available in India. I'm not exploring anything abroad. And I think at this point, I don't even want to explore lingerie. Like, I think I'm past the point of like trying to look cute in my undergarments. I just want to be extremely comfortable. Bras are a no go for me anymore. Number four, overstimulation of any kind for the sake of socializing or being out and about. And I'll tell you what I mean by overstimulation. For example, like with age, I've realized I don't like being in crowded spaces. I cannot have coffee which has caffeine in it. I cannot be around loud music just because I'm in a club. There are some things that I just don't enjoy anymore that I was okay with when I was younger, like maybe 8, 9 years ago. I was okay with it when you're just newly starting to get out of home, to party, to be out and about, to socialize, to have your fun in a city, especially when I was living in Bombay. Very quickly have grown out of it. Like this is not a thing that's recent. I've realized the last 3, 4 years that I do not enjoy crowded places. I cannot tolerate loud music. Like my nose starts to water. If I'm overstimulated, my nose starts to water. I start to feel cold and I start to feel very tired, not physically as much as mentally. Like for instance, I can't go to a shopping mall. Whether it's a crowded mall or it's not a crowded mall, like I get so overstimulated by all the visuals and the options. Like whenever I go shopping, it's either online shopping that I know exactly what I want to purchase and I then go and explore that, or I know where I want to go and then I know like which section to go to. So I'm just exposed to that. Like I can't do malls anymore. Both me and my husband, anytime we've tried to go to a mall for the purpose of like open-ended shopping, we come out in like an hour because we're so tired. I feel like a lot of my friends have this experience with shopping malls, especially where we all get so overstimulated that we need to like literally come back to our rooms and go to sleep. I would not go to a crowded room just because there's a dance scene happening there. I will not be spending my night in a place where there's very, very loud music. Nothing is worth feeling that kind of decibels in my ear. Refuse to be in a mall unless absolutely required, unless I'm assisting my mom or whoever and they need to like pick up something urgently. I feel like at this point, even our mothers are shopping online. So I don't know what purpose malls are serving anymore. Number five, non-conversation conversations. Okay, now we're getting into something meta. What I mean by that is that this Coke has gotten over so quickly. Like I have at least 6 more points. I also realized that this glass is from IKEA. How fancy. What I mean by non-conversation conversations, excuse me, when you're meeting somebody for the first time or you're hanging out with a friend, you're talking, but there is nothing meaningful about your communication. Let's be honest, we're all going through it in life. We're all at that point where all of us are battling our internal demons, our demons externally in terms of our pursuits, our goals, our ambitions, our insecurities. And so we're all going through it. When we do come together and we're hanging out, and I'm not saying that everything has to be a deep conversation, but if you can't be honest to each other, if you can't connect at a place where it's just truthful and there is vulnerability involved, why are we even conversing? Like, if I just had to have regular conversations, I could be doing that with my colleagues, I could be doing it with a client at my workplace, but I don't have the patience anymore to have these conversations which are not leading to anywhere. It is not, I am not learning anything about you, which is meaningful, and you're not learning anything about me. The weather is great, but this conversation could be greater. And therefore, it's such an annoyance to me when I'm in a room. and I'm listening to a conversation, or I'm having to participate in a conversation, and nobody's learning anything new. And I don't mean it from a point of like, oh my god, like everything needs to be spiritual and deep. I really don't mean that. I feel like it takes multiple conversations with the same person. It takes a lot of context setting. It's a lot of like intimacy to genuinely have a deep conversation. So I don't expect that from somebody I'm meeting for the first time. But if you can't be vulnerable, if you can't be honest, if you can't open up, and because of your resistance to it, the other person can't do it, what are we even doing together? Like, our time on earth is so limited. Why are we wasting each other's? Number whatever, sugar in my drinks. Oh my god. The one thing that I have realized, I think ever since 2018, that was the year where I first tried intermittent fasting, and I did it like to a very significant extent, which I would not recommend women to do. But when I did that, like it fundamentally changed my taste palette in a way where I've become very sensitive to a lot of things, not just taste wise, but also like physically. It's a great thing. Most of it has been in good favor. And one of the biggest outcomes of doing that intermittent fasting is that I become very sensitive to sweetness. I grew up as a sweet tooth. I was the kid at home who would eat up all the chocolates in the fridge and would then go and insist on more chocolates to be bought. So this was a very dramatic shift for me where I stopped enjoying sweet stuff. Like even now, I can only have like a spoonful of cake or desserts, and even if I have to finish a dessert, it has to be like really mild sweetness, like a kheer or something. I don't enjoy sweet food in general, but most of all, sweet in my drinks is an absolute no go. There is something about sugary drinks, like I think the way it sits in my mouth, it's much more overbearing than like a piece of cake or fudge or ice cream or what have you. Like it just feels so much more concentrated and so much more overpowering that I feel this repulsion. And I also feel like sugar in your drinks is very easy to consume, and therefore it quickly like adds up. So if you have a habit of drinking sugary beverages, the calories really like start to compound, and you can very quickly like end up at a in a place of like being unhealthy. I don't track my calories, but I avoid sugar in my drinks, and I feel like that's also a little bit of a win. So sugar in my drinks is something I do not enjoy at all, except for diet coke. Diet coke tastes sweet but doesn't have sugar, and that's a conversation for some other day when I can be more honest about my relationship with it. Okay, the next point that I've written is dishonest shopping, and I really wish I'd added more context to it. Now I'm trying to figure out what I meant by dishonest shopping. But if I recollect correctly, what I meant by dishonest shopping is that over the years, like obviously, like when you start to have some sort of pocket money, when you go to college, when you start making your money, you start making purchases for yourself. Sometimes the things that you need, and then obviously a lot of indulgences that you make as purchases over the years. And because I've had so much experience shopping now, I've realized that a lot of shopping is just dishonest shopping. It's a thing that looks good, and then once it enters your wardrobe, there are such few pieces of shopping that continue to make you feel good. And that's a great like barometer to realize what it is that you genuinely want and will do good to you versus what is something that's just catching your eye. This is judgment that comes only from doing a lot of shopping, a lot of dishonest shopping. So you can finally get to a point of making like very honest choices for yourself. For example, you get like a great fitting pair of pants, especially denims, which go with like so many outfits. It is a piece that will continue to make you look forward to wearing it on yourself. You get a great piece of jewelry. For example, my most recent purchase has been this locket, and I feel happy every day to wear it because obviously it's a classic piece. It goes with like so much of what I wear. But if you buy something which is maybe trendy or it looks great on an Instagram model, chances are that it's going to be something that you wear once and then you get bored of it. The silhouette of a dress can look great, but then when you put it on, you realize that you don't have the perfect bra for it, or you need to wear tights with it, and is just some resistance that comes into putting that piece on, and therefore it just goes away inside your wardrobe, never to be picked up again. And if you just become more honest with yourself about what is it that you're familiar with, what is it that you're comfortable with, you eventually get to a point where shopping becomes like very intuitive to you. Like for example, I think I mentioned it in my previous video that at this point I'm very comfortable just being a person who loves wearing her white t-shirts and her plain black shirts. And by the way, somebody DM me yesterday talking about how they notice that I really enjoy wearing my whites, and I do. It is something that I learned about myself at New York City, where I realized that I really like a plain white t-shirt that fits really well on me and it makes me feel really confident. I usually prefer white when it's sunny outside, and the reason I'm wearing black today is because it's overcast. It's been raining since morning, and I'm very happy to just be honest about this to myself. There are some occasions where I obviously want to dress up. Rakhi is coming up end of this month, this weekend. And I obviously want to dress it up. I'm not going to be in this when I go for Rakhi. But those are small occasions. Like those are like rare occasions. But then on the daily, I want to wear what I'm most familiar with and I know I'm going to rock. And therefore, like at some point, you arrive at honest shopping, and then there's no space for dishonest shopping. At this point, when I am going through a catalog of something, I just know that like, oh, this is a piece which looks great and I would love to own it, but I know I'm not going to get much use out of it, and therefore I might as well save my money to maybe spend on a more premium white t-shirt, on a lovely piece of classic jewelry. Like I would love to, I don't have a problem spending like 10,000 rupees on this watch instead of a dress or something which I know I'm not going to get much use out of. Why spend that kind of money? 10,000 rupees on this watch would give me much more value instead of a dress that I'm going to wear twice and then it's just going to sit in my wardrobe and be given away many, many years later. So, dishonest shopping is something that I don't enjoy anymore. The next thing that I've written is filling my loneliness with random pursuits. What I mean by filling my loneliness with random pursuits, and these are usually of the social kind, is that I've also reached an age where I'm able to identify when I'm feeling lonely because that usually leads to some sort of restlessness and dependency on people around me. So, a lot of the random pursuits that I'm talking about here is just like trying to reconnect with people or what have you. So whenever I'm feeling lonely, then trying to revive or reconnect with people is something that I don't think has worked out for me, because whenever there is this feeling of loneliness, it is an indication of you isolating yourself from yourself. That's why the loneliness. Otherwise, what you would feel is just solitude. And it's very important to be able to differentiate between these two. And loneliness, if you work through it, like if you sit through your loneliness, you can reconnect with yourself and you can end up in a place of solitude where you actually want to be by yourself. And then you want to spend time being curious about yourself. You want to be reading a book, finding something which you can reflect yourself about. You want to be engaging in great media, or you just want to be sitting by yourself, you want to be going for longer walks, you want to be sitting, writing, reading, what have you. But I've found that filling my loneliness with these social pursuits has never worked out for me and I don't enjoy it anymore. And the reason I don't enjoy it anymore is because I'm able to identify now that okay, I'm feeling lonely and therefore I'm trying to get closer to someone or something. But what I really should be doing is just sitting with my loneliness, so it turns over to solitude where I'm more comfortable with my own company, and then I can go and pursue things that make me curious. And it's always a lovely outcome from there on. Next thing that I don't enjoy is cities with no culture, no heritage. Okay, so for example, I've been living in Delhi for 2 years now, and that's the city, like that, and even Bombay for a large part. There is so much going on. Like there are always these exhibitions going on, and then there are these events that happen. There is theater, a lot of outdoor events that happen as well throughout the year. And also in Delhi, like because Delhi is such an ancient city, there is so much heritage in general. Like you'll be driving from one place to another, and there's like Safdarjung tomb that you can see on your way, and it always like zaps you out of whatever state of mind you're in, which is so lovely. And therefore, when I say cities with no culture, I think I'm probably indicating like newer cities. They do have culture, and they all the cities obviously have their own vibrant personality, but I think I prefer cities which are older. I prefer cities which have a lot of history to them, and that's why I think like at this point, like my favorite city in India is Delhi, which is very surprising coming from me because I was very anti-Delhi before I made this move to Delhi 2 years ago. I didn't want to leave Bangalore. Like I loved Bangalore so much. And since then, Delhi has become my home. It's not that I'm going and attending every event and I'm going for every exhibition or that I'm in the know-how of everything that's going on in the city, but it's so lovely to know that you can just opt in whenever you want to. Like you have options to opt into, and that is very important because spending some time in New York a month and a half ago, and the thing that I realized is that because we don't live in cities that offer all of these things to experience, we internalize the responsibility of being stimulated, get lonely in the process, and we constantly think that it is our fault that we're not having fun. But how much can you internalize living in an environment where there are no options of getting out and exploring? You can't be making yourself feel like you are the one who has to consistently and constantly orchestrate some kind of entertainment, indulgence, stimulation, because it's not on you. Like you're supposed to ideally live in a place which offers this to you. So already expending so much of your personal responsibility at work, with your lifestyle, with your socializing and whatnot. There's a lot of agency that you're practicing otherwise. So it's important to also be in a city that offers scope for you to expand yourself in such a way where you can go and indulge and engage with culture, heritage, art, history. And therefore, the thing I don't enjoy anymore is living in a place which doesn't offer any of that. The last thing that I want to talk about is The thing that I don't enjoy anymore is when I'm meeting someone new and I have to introduce myself, the default thing to say about yourself is to talk about what you do professionally, and I hate it. I lived in Bangalore 2 years ago, and I feel like this is the default way of people in the room introducing themselves as, because there's also a lot of pride attached to what it is people do professionally. I moved to Delhi and I met people who didn't offer that as the first thing that they do, and I loved it. And even when I travel, like even when I've gone backpacking in my early 20s, in my mid 20s, there are places on this earth where you don't have to offer your professional achievements or your professional background to be something in a room. Like that is not the thing that you're being judged against all the fucking time. There's so many people who don't even want to know what you're doing. Like they just want to know you as a person. And so I feel like I don't enjoy introducing myself in my profession anymore. Like I'm anyway on a sabbatical, but I have done cool things professionally. I've been a consultant. I have worked in the social impact space. I've had the opportunity to work in climate. I have a background in climate, but these are things that I don't want to talk about myself. Like if you find out, cool, because I know that that's like plus aura points, but it's not to me. And I don't want to be introducing myself or selling myself in a room basis what I do professionally. What you do professionally, yes, it tells me something about you, but it doesn't tell me the things that I genuinely want to know about you, especially when I'm meeting you for the first time. It doesn't give me anything, to be very honest. Like, I don't know. And the thing is, if you genuinely like your work, it will show up in our conversation anyway when we start talking, when we start getting to know each other. So, like, why introduce ourselves as, hey, I am XYZ. But tell me things that you don't enjoy anymore. I'm sure you also have had years under your belt where you might have started off your 20s as really enjoying something, and now you don't. And I want to hear about it. Tell me in the comments. See you.